Hey everybody, today is August 2nd. We are going to be doing a trade ideas segment for the week, talking a little bit about some of my thoughts here as we go into this week, some very interesting moves in the market lately. And I want to just share kind of my opinion on some potential trade setups that we may see play out. So do me a favor, if you're just tuning in, make sure to like the video down below, comment if you want to see more of these Sunday specials, I guess we could call them that. But basically just me going through some of the chart ideas and trade setups for the week. Do me a favor, like the video if you want to see more of this sort of content, and I'll be sure to get to that. So taking a look here at the S&P 500 for starters, we are not quite at the all-time highs that we've been watching to see, but we did see a strong rally last week towards the end of the week. In fact, we saw it twice. So if we look here, zoom in on the daily, take a look at this. We actually saw this price come down and hold this moving average here very nicely twice. So we saw price jump up, we came down one day, by the end of the day we were back up, and on Friday we watched as price came down hard, and by the end of the day it was right back up. What does this say for those of you guys who are currency traders out there? Well, even if you don't trade the S&P 500, this show of bullishness is very intriguing because it shows that there's still a lot of buyer demand here on the dips, which is a big thing to watch out for, as currencies will oftentimes react to that purely because of the fact that this is kind of a sentiment driver, right? So when everybody is bullish on markets, on the stock market, a lot of times that carries over to the currency market, and you see risk on currencies get a nice bid. Okay, so let's see what else we can get ourselves into really quick while we're on the subject. We'll take a look at US 30, which actually here you can see this is the 20 period moving average. Very similar story where we came down hard in the last two trading days, really. And by the end of the day, we saw that strong rally. So very, very interesting stuff to see this playing out like that. And I think it may have some carryover into this week. We'll see if we can get any sort of bullish move off of that 20 period moving average. So I do want to take a look at kind of our spotlight ones today, which are going to be things like the Euro USD, the pound dollar, because last week we had a very big fascination in the office with the US dollar. We kept watching those pairs to see what was going on with that USD because, man, that US dollar has been sold off incredibly hard, but on Friday we caught a bid. Now, I want to give you guys my view as to why I'm actually kind of bullish on the US dollar right now. Now, from a technical perspective, we've seen incredible runs on almost all of the USD pairs as people are heavily selling off the US dollar in favor of other things like the euro dollar, like the pound dollar, and the yen, and all sorts of other different things, right? People are just favoring other things over the US dollar. It's almost like the US dollar is not popular anymore. But here's the thing, you have to be careful because when things get very, very stretched in the technicals, it's very normal to have a proper, fair retest. And so on Friday, we saw the heavy sell-off. I actually took some positions on some of these USD pairs, catching some of the rebound off of that stretch. The Friday reversal is a very common thing. If you have a big stretch for the week, a lot of times you do see Friday, there's some profit taking and some potential weakness there in the other direction. So actually, my bias on the US dollar might actually be still on the bullish side for the time being. I know that's very counter trend right now, but I think that it has more room to fall. I think it has things like euro dollar and pound dollar have more room to fall in favor of a rising dollar going into this week, because I think that, again, from a technical perspective, when everybody's getting long, eventually the steam runs out and you start seeing some topping signs like this, which oftentimes lead to some very fair, very necessary returns to some fair value. That's where you could potentially, if you are you have a long bias on something like euro dollar, pound dollar, those sort of things, that might actually be an opportunity to look to get long in favor. But to me, chasing the move, people who are buying up here, that's a dangerous game to play because you're talking about a stretched market that is almost in need of a very healthy pullback. So as we go into this week, as we go into August, I think that there is potential for a US dollar reversal on the short-term kind of outlook. So my view right now is a bullish outlook on the US dollar, looking for a return to value, looking to a return to something like that 20 period moving average here on euro dollar, if not maybe a little bit more, right? In fact, if we actually get our fibs going here, actually, I don't know if my fibs are going to work on this tool because I've got them set to something. Yeah, forget that. But I think that there might be some fibs to look at as well, especially as we go from the long-term chart. You've got some significant levels that could be in due time ready to be retested, right? So we've got this long-term uptrend. Very possible that we see something like this. Actually, let's let's get a proper trend line here. There might be a very healthy return to something like this trend line, right? That gives us an area of value. It gives us a retest area that is completely fair for buyers to potentially be waiting for in order to actually want to get long. So a proper return to that value might actually be the setup that I'm looking for in order to get long in these sort of pairs. But I think that before we do that, before I'm interested in that, I'm waiting to see, can we get some proper drop? So we'll see if that happens. If not, if the market rallies, then of course we'll have to rethink this. But we will see what goes on the Sunday Open. Not sure if we'll get any gaps or anything, but we'll have to watch to see. While we're on the subject, we could take a look at pound dollar, which did give back some profit towards the end of the day, but still, a very, very bullish week there for pound dollar. But what I wanted to notice is, or what I want you guys to notice is, see how we actually ended the week on a bearish pin bar. So this is what you would call a bearish pin bar, whatever you want to call it. I don't get super technical with candlesticks, but the pure idea of price came up very strongly and by the end of the day sold off significantly. That to me is a bearish indication that we could be due to see some proper pullback to, again, some of those areas of value, which we can talk about in terms of check out this nice little horizontal line. Pretty clear level of support, I would say. You've also got just south of that, you've got this area here right around that 1.2634 level. So you kind of have this area right here that actually is very appealing to me on the bullish side, right? So I'd be interested in taking that bullish setup, maybe if we got back down to that area. Of course, by the way, guys, if you are not already a member of our community, you can see all the trades that I take in real time. I share my trade alerts with members. You can find out information in the description or go to a1trading.com/VIP and you can sign up to come along and trade with myself as well as some of our other top analysts and join our chat rooms and all sorts of stuff. So do your own due diligence, check that out and see if it is a service that would be fit for you. And yeah, so there's your little advertisement for the day. But seriously, come join us if you are interested. So that's pound dollar and then euro dollar. And I think we're going to do one more. We're going to take a look at the USDJPY, which had an incredible bounce here towards the end of the day. And I actually think that this is another reason that my bias here on the USD is still bullish, is because we got such a strong rally here towards the end of the day. That was a beautiful bullish engulfing, right? So when you get something like this, when you get that big bullish engulfing, a lot of times you get kind of some follow through, right? Where you see some more profit taking, more continuation back the other way for some period of time before, whatever happens. But I think that when we look at USDJPY, I think we have some very proper potential pullback zones on this one as well. You can start drawing some trend lines here along the tops here. You've also got that 20 period moving average in reference, right? So I think it's very possible that we could be headed back to another area of value being right around here, that 106.65 level. So this is a very healthy trend pullback, right? So if you're a bear on your USDJPY, this is actually should be a healthy thing to see, right? Because when you see this, you know that, okay, things are not just running endlessly, because when they run endlessly, that's where things start to go like this. And then all of a sudden it's like, bam, it just goes wham back the other way. And it's not a healthy trend, right? When you get moves that are just nothing but one direction, a lot of times what's happening is you're getting a lot of short squeezes, you're getting a lot of margin calls, you're getting a lot of people who are stuck in bad positions and they have to cover or whatever, and that ends up causing kind of a panic market that all of a sudden at some point reverses incredibly sharply, and it can be a very tough trade to try and join into that move. So that's my view on a healthy pullback here on some of these USD pairs, where I think that there is some short-term long opportunities, and then maybe even some downtrend continuation at some point if we get that proper pullback that we're looking for. One more thing that I want to take a look at before we go into the week would in fact be gold. You can take a look here. You can actually see that gold held its own here for the whole week. We actually did not have a super bearish end of the week. We actually had a pretty bullish end of the week, seeing that candle close near all-time highs, 1975. Did we hit the 2000 mark? We did not quite, but I think it is very possible that we could see in the next week or two a move up to 2000. I think that there's a lot of steam behind gold right now. I think that the trend is still fully in favor of the bulls. But as I've mentioned on the live streams, I'm still not super interested in taking a buy position on gold unless we get some sort of proper pullback. Just like we just talked about with healthy trends, we want to look for that pullback, or at least I do, which gives me a little bit more of a healthy entry, where I'm not just chasing the price, but rather waiting for a setup that kind of fits some criteria for, okay, well, some of the ecstatic bulls have gotten stopped out and all that hype is gone, and now I'm looking to actually pick up some solid positions that give a decent risk to reward. So that is my view on gold at the time being. Still not interested in taking a short or a long right now. I guess, to be fair, if I'm favoring the US dollar right now, I guess that is kind of a short bias, but I'm not interested in shorting gold purely because of the nature of this thing. This thing is a short squeeze destroyer. People who get short on this thing can have a lot of tough times. Now, they can also get destroyed on the long side, so don't get me wrong. This is just a very high margin tool. So it is very, very dangerous to trade, especially with any sort of big position size. So for me, the interest would be wait for a proper setup, wait for a proper pullback, put that risk in check, keep it relatively tight, and go from there. So that's my view on gold and the US dollar this week. Going into the week, there are some trade setups that I like, as I mentioned in here. So do me a favor, if you enjoyed this video, do me a favor, just hit that like button down below, show some support for the content, and I will make sure to make more of this sort of content in the future if I get some good feedback on it. So thanks so much, guys. I hope that you have a fantastic rest of your weekend, and happy trading this week. Be safe out there. Have fun.